Hey NAIF football fans, this is Cory Thorpe with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA. These guys are our presenting sponsors for yet another year, and they're NAIA-made players, fans, and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything, from hosting the store online, shipping, and helping your customers if they have questions, so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com and adcraftwebstores.com. Hey NAI football fans, Cory Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, brought to you by and powered by our friends at AdCraft USA. Keep an eye out. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks. Keep an eye out. We're going to have a web store coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Just saw the proofs and got an idea of what it's going to look like. You guys are really going to like what you see. But again, you are not here to hear me ramble about our web store. You are here to listen to a coach. And tonight we have Ryan Nourse from Montana Western. Coach, how are you doing tonight?
We're doing great.
Perfect. And I did get that last name right, correct? It is Nourse.
It's Norse.
Nourse. I'm sorry. Ryan Nourse. My bad, guys. This is what happens when you don't ask questions before you go live about how to pronounce things. But, Coach, it's been a very interesting couple of years for y'all. I want to go back a couple of years here and just talk real quickly about Montana Western's decision to sit out of spring. Um, Talk about was that something that y'all decided together to do, or is that an external thing that happened?
It was all of us, players included. If you've ever been to Dillon, Montana in February, there's not many opportunities to get outside to practice appropriately, and when you do, you're doing it on ice. So we went from really kind of a health and safety standpoint. Well, this is the decision that we made. We didn't see getting in potentially 4 games in the spring as being important enough to risk a lot of the other things that we are considering doing. We only had 1 or 2 seniors who were going to graduate. Everyone else had decided they were going to come back regardless, no matter what. So we were, although disappointed that we couldn't make playing feasible, we had a direction and a goal in mind of what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And our guys knew the why, so we just made it work.
So, talk to me about what that spring was like. Then, did y'all just do spring practice like normal and just kind of go about business as usual for a football season, or did you put on some extra workouts, or what was that spring like for y'all?
We started over. We just did a regular spring. Our off season was already different because we were so vastly restricted in numbers who could be in our weight room and numbers we could have in the arena in terms of workouts. So once we were able to get into spring practices, we just did what we always do with spring practice and had our annual spring scrimmage, and then we moved into summertime in preparation for 2021.
And I'm really interested because a lot of the other teams that have had this very compacted season with playing in the spring and in this fall and then last fall in 2021, it seemed like we had a lot of injuries. Did y'all kind of see that from some of the teams that you played in the Frontier, like Carroll or College of Idaho?
We did. I felt like there was some impact that way. That was also one of my concerns with our team as well, having a veteran team. And will they get bored? Are you going to be dealing with injuries? You're always dealing with them. So we did a little bit, but I don't think it was um, impactful enough to maybe hurt teams' ability to be successful.
And then let's turn the page a little to this year here. You start out 1-1. You get a win at home against Carroll. You lose at Eastern Oregon. And then you really get a nice win against Dickinson State, who really was reeling in the first part of the season this year in 2021. Talk to me about, um, getting that win over, I believe, an old conference rival, and someone who's been in the playoffs for the last several years.
Yeah, it was the start of the season for us after being off for so long. I knew it was going to impact our performance, and I didn't realize how much. Football is one of those deals where you kind of need to continue to play and have a lot of continuity with, and I was, with the way that we played in those first three games, to come out with two wins. I was really pleased because we did not perform anywhere near our potential. But the Dickinson game was a big game for us. Playing another ranked team, traveling there, doing it on the road. That's a successful football program. Coach Stanton and those guys, they all they do is win. And they're able to make the playoffs each year, and they've competed at a high level. So to be able to go on the road after a year off of football and be able to get a good victory was definitely motivating for our team.
So coming down towards the end of the season, you have a a loss midseason to Rocky Mountain, but you do have a chance, as is pretty normal in the Frontier, to get a little bit of revenge. But for y'all, this wasn't just any old revenge. This was revenge to win the conference. How much did the need to win by a certain amount, if I remember correctly, how that actually all went down? Um,
Well,
how
I
much did that?
didn't.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't know how much we needed to win by. None of that stuff was shared with me. I guess everyone thought we were just going to lose. So I didn't find out what we needed to win by to win the tiebreaker um, until right before we snapped the ball to kick a field goal to win
Holy
the game.
cow!
Um, I just called timeout and ran a play we had practiced to see um, if we couldn't make something happen there. So yeah, I didn't really know. All we did at the end of the season was win. So we won our last three like we were supposed to. We played good enough to beat Rocky in the last game, and it was big for our guys, to be able to, after we had that breakdown against College of Idaho and lost that game on the road. We had a lot of our team was teetering a little bit, and just to continue to fight and to be a finisher and to be able to get that win at the end was tremendous for our guys. I was sure proud of their ability to battle all the way through, and yeah, it was a crazy conference this year, very competitive from top to bottom, and to be able to win it was yeah, it was awesome.
I mean, you talk about the competitiveness in there. Even a team like MSU Northern, who has historically struggled in the Frontier, they got off the schneid and won a game this year. I was very happy to see them win one game and get off of that offer.
Yeah, that was, we were just talking about that in a staff meeting today. How going even into Northern, um, you're sometimes I'm more nervous about that game than I am other games because I don't really necessarily know what's going to happen. Although they haven't had the success that other teams have, they've still had quality teams and competitive guys. So, what? just the psyche of your team when you go into those games against somebody who hasn't had the win loss success. It's still a challenge, and that's one of the great things about the Frontier Conference is top to bottom. It's really competitive, and there's a lot of parity each year, and playing people twice is a big challenge. So that second game is usually a very very tough matchup.
It definitely is, and that's definitely something that is unique about the Frontier. Um, I wonder for myself if the Frontier couldn't improve kind of its outside um, respect level if it might move to a different scheduling method. But um, what are some other ways? Because the Frontier to me is one of, and I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying this with the other conference guys who hear this, but I honestly think the Frontier is the most underrated conference in the NAIA.
It's hard for us because of the double double games to not lose games. So
Mhm.
um, it's a real challenge to get up anymore high enough in those rankings unless you just unless we have a team that is kind of heads and above the others, and that's nothing against anybody else's conference. They're wonderful teams all over the conference. I mean, we got to play the number one team in the country and Lindsey Wilson today. What a great experience to go and play against the best that the NAIA has to offer. But you're right, and we're working on that right now. The thing with our place here is geography. There's not
Mhm.
very many other NAIA institutions. Just to get from Dillon, Montana to Ashland, Oregon is, about 20 hours on a bus. So, the travel out here is extensive. So to find those 10 games of single matchups is is really hard, and that's why we do the double up games. But we are currently trying to work on a model to lessen those. We know that would help out. I think with the rest of the country, I think some folks think that playing a second game against somebody that might be easier and weakens your conference, or maybe when you do that with an opponent. But I would tell you, I mean, if you ask guys who've had to play each other twice, it's anybody in a year. It's one of the hardest things to do in football, and regardless of what the records are with those teams. So anybody who can do that, that's tough sledding.
I mean, we saw it even just what a monthish ago when Georgia beats Alabama in the national championship game after losing to them roughly a month before in the SEC championship game. Anybody who thinks that doubling up on games with the same opponent is easy needs to go talk to Nick Saban.
Yeah, I agree. And some it's kind of a foreign deal in football. So I don't harbor any resentment or anybody on their opinions or what that is, but it is a challenge. But also, in the NAI, we what we need to get in the playoffs, and when we do, we need to come away with some more victories and continue to move our teams higher. I think we have good teams here, and I do believe any team we get in from our conference is going to be a competitive outfit and have a chance to win playoff games. And we're just going to have to get in there and do it again.
Yeah, I mean, what's the last Frontier team that I can remember actually making a good bit of noise is Southern Oregon, maybe about 5-ish years ago now.
Yeah, College of Idaho, won their first
That's
round
right.
game in 2019, I believe, and then
That's right.
lost a really tight one at the end to Grandview. So, but yeah, I mean, Southern made those great runs, and that was a different deal. They were able to stay ranked. We had multiple teams who were able to stay ranked at that time, so it allowed them to have those opportunities to host a playoff game, and as we all know, that's what you're going for. That you're more likely to win at home than you are on the road, and we just whatever the reasons are, regardless, we just got to get in and we got to win. And in our league, you just have to keep on winning. No excuses, right? You just like everybody else, you just whether you play them twice or you play them once, you got to win the game that's put in front of you, and we're going to try to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about what you've got coming back. You've got some good weapons that you've got coming back, including your signal caller, John Jund. Who accounts for 42 touchdowns between his rushing output and his passing output there in 2021. Almost 1,000-yard back in Reese Neville, and a really electric all-purpose guy there in Trey Mounts, who's good whether you're handing him the ball, whether you're throwing him the ball, or whether he's there returning the ball on special teams. So talk about your offense a little bit.
Yeah, I mean we're excited about what we've got coming back. We don't have to change a lot of things, refine some things, and do some things better for the guys that we do have. And we know we've got some proven um, competitors, and proven producers out there with Jund and Neville and Mounts. I think the area we're most excited about seeing growth in is really our offensive line. I mean, we will only have one senior again this year, and we returned three freshman starters. We started three freshmen against Lindsey Wilson in the playoff game, and they learned a lot about college football that ball game with Lindsey's defense. It was outstanding, and yeah, so we're really excited, just really about how we can continue to grow and come and become better, and also, we've got three really productive players that we can go and lean on, and then a senior offensive lineman, and Noah Danielson, who's just been an incredible leader on our football team for years. So we're yeah, we're excited about the direction we think we can go through spring ball, and then what we can do again in the fall.
On the other side of the ball, you do lose a couple of linebackers, a couple of anchor pieces there in Joe Caicedo and Kyle Schulte, but you do return back a lot of your secondary, anchored by Braden Swank and Cameron Rouser there, as well as a nice piece on your line in Tanner Harrell. Forgot to mention Latrell McCutcheon in the defensive secondary as well.
Yeah.
Talk about those guys and you know playing good defense in a league where good defense is as common as pennies.
Yeah. Well, again, we do. We have a good group coming back on defense. Really strong defensive line. Lots of guys who have played a lot of minutes and started a lot of football games. And losing those two in the middle, I mean, those are 3 year, 4 year starters for us. And Joe and Kyle was a 2 time captain for us. Those guys are just they've just been stalwarts in our program for so long, and there's really no replacing them. But we've got some guys who had really good minutes for us last year, and who have been building up in our program over the years. In Braden Smith, who'll be coming into his junior season, and he's ready to step in there at one of those linebacker positions, and we've got some just really great young football players who just haven't hit the field yet to help out and challenge in that defensive secondary as well. We had really good competition back there, and Swank and McCutcheon came up and became really good football players for us at corner. And Cameron Rouser, a guy we'll use more down in the box this year and move Cam around to fit some more of his strengths. But he's a great leader and outstanding football player for us. So we feel pretty good about where we're going, and it is exciting. We've got a lot of the D front guys back, but then we've got some new back end guys that we're going to be competing like crazy this spring to see who's going to get some of those starting spots. So exciting for them, but exciting for our coaching staff too, to see how these guys can develop, and then play now that it's their turn.
Before I let you go, I'm going to kind of ask you the question that I've been asking everybody, and you actually will have a unique perspective on this, I think, given your background and having served as Montana Western's athletic director for 3 years in between stints as head football coach. Um, and being in Montana, you're going to have a little bit of a leg up on some of the guys who are in the bigger cities in this regard. But how do you and your athletic department engage and build your support base and those relationships and grow that support outside the lines so that you can grow your program as a whole?
Yeah, so at Western, Western's been one of those places that's always been about people. So it's really about relationships and building those relationships and starting that out in our community. We have a lot of alum in our state and region who are teachers and coaches. So just in terms of it's a natural communication piece with myself and our staff because we're seeing those folks a lot, building that support as well. But in terms of geography and some things, everything's kind of far away out here in Montana. So it starts at your home base. Our home base is Dillon. Dillon, Montana is an incredible sports town. This community is awesome. They support everything kids do. If it doesn't matter if it's a freshman in the high school and FFA, or if it's the Bulldogs going on a playoff trip. Our community is there to help in any way that we can. So really, ours is outreach, getting out as much as we can into our community, and then because of the geography, using our alumni and supporters in those other areas across our region to continue to tell our story. And we only have 5,000 people in Dillon, Montana, so we are a rural Montana town. So we really rely heavily on our supporters and our alumni. That relationship that we have with them, and then their ability to tell our story and spread that out through the rest of our supporters in the region.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you again for coming on tonight and chatting with me, and I'm definitely looking forward to watching some good Frontier football come the fall.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for giving me a chance to be on your podcast here. And anytime you get Frontier guys out here, we sure appreciate your guys's coverage and the support that we get.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIF Ball Podcast powered by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. Thanks also to Mommy Bay and Turf Nation for their support of the NAIF Ball Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe to the podcast and to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast app that allows you to leave a rating and review. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFball and become a patron. We can't do what we do without support from our sponsors and listeners like you.